Well, this is my favorite question that I ask of every guest. You've mentioned it a little bit, but are you a person of a particular faith tradition? And if so, how does that impact your career, your leadership?
For sure. Yeah, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and he absolutely saved my life. And I mean, speaking about in those darker moments of my life, I was working on a ranch. So when I was guiding fishermen, I'd float down the river, and then I'd also guide on a ranch south of Casper. And if I didn't have fishermen, I'd just do day ranch work. And I was working on a project with a gentleman, and like things would just happen like in our day. And whether it was the weather or whether it was people that like failed, or we forgot to get, the parts that were supposed to be shipped out to finish the task weren't there, just frustrations. And I just kept thinking, I'm like, it frustrated me. And I was just the sidekick, I wasn't, and he just always approached everything in just such a manner that was like, you know what? Well, he just approached every problem with like a phenomenal attitude and just grace to other people, and finally, like I got kind of frustrated. I'm like, something happened, and I was like, why is he not mad? Like, I'm mad that he's not mad. And so I just called him out on it, and I said, Grant, like, what is going on with you? And like, why is this happening? Like, I saw something in that man that I didn't understand, but I thought, man, how do I imitate that? How do I get that in my life? And that day, sitting out in Shirley Basin, Wyoming, on a project, I had the gospel of Jesus. I knew the Bible. I mean, I knew I could quote scripture. I'd been to church, but I had never seen that lived out, in a person so tangibly close to me, and see what actual grace really looked like when someone is shining that light in their lives. And I wanted it. And so we that started a long summer conversations about that, and I just started just digging into it, trying to figure out like who is this Jesus guy, and like, but in the back of my mind, that's when I said earlier that I wouldn't change anything in my life, even my knee injury and all those things. Like prior to that, like my mind was like, I'm not the baddest guy, and I'm not the worst guy in the world. Like I make, good decisions. I get decent grades. I don't do terrible things. I've never killed anybody. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, I'm winning. And my standard was always like, again, you can, if you feel like you're a C average or below in a certain area of your life, it's really easy to look at the people that are, getting Fs in that area, right? You don't look at the people that have B plus averages, right? So it's always easier to look and compare yourself how you want to sell it to yourself. And really in that moment, in that season of my life, I just really started questioning, like, man, if this God thing's real, and like it's not looking well for me. Like I have been a liar. I have been a thief. I have coveted other people's stuff. Like, I mean, you start going through the check boxes, and I'm like, it ain't looking good for you, Adrian. And I tell you, that's the profound mystery and the amazing beauty of Christ, is when you feel what love really feels like, and when that grace is poured on you. And so, yeah, that has definitely been a defining thing in my life. And I do try to filter things in my life through that lens first. And there's been times, and I've worked with people that, that are openly not Christian. And I've walked away from some calls, and I'm just like, I couldn't walk away from this. I couldn't do the job without having that faith, that knowing that there is a creator, that, and all things will work, glorify him and through him. So in my mind, there's things that I've seen and done that and been a part of, that as a as a man, as a cop, as a dad, that you're just like, there's no possible way that good can come of this. It's just evil. But just knowing that, that he is ultimately sovereign over all of it, and you submit your life to Christ and trust and put your faith, put your trust in that, and not just by the words, but truly open-handedly put your trust in that. He loved that little girl hugging my leg more than I could. Mm. He loves that mom that lost their son to addiction more than I could. And I just feel like that's the filter that everything has to go through. It's like, I don't understand it. I don't know why, but that's why you're God and I'm not. And like, my job is to have faith and trust in you. And I'm not saying I succeed every day. I'm human. I still sometimes see a problem and just want to automatically, like, how can I strategize, or how can I do this to make it benefit what I think the outcome needs to be? And well, as soon as there's times where no matter how hard you're trying to do something, if it's not in the cards, if it's not God's timing or his will isn't behind it, it's not happening. Right. And there's a lesson to be learned from that too.